The rain came down suddenly, beads upon beads of it. The beads came in slanted and stung her on the right side of her face. Some fell into the bucket of water she was carrying on her head. Karen raised her head slightly to see how far she was from the house, but instead of seeing the house, she saw a wall of rain. The rain sounded like bullets on the zinc roof, and the other children struggled with their containers to keep up with the water, which was pouring through the roof. As soon as they placed a container at a certain point, they had to move it to somewhere else where the water was coming down heavier through the holes in the roof. The house was made of board and stood on 4 pillars. A small flight of steps led up to the door. 2 pieces of board were nailed across the bottom of the door frame to keep the baby from falling down the steps. The house was only 1 room, really, separated by a curtain into 2 areas, one where the children's mother slept and one where the children played and slept. When Mr. Boucher's grandson used to visit Miss Ivy, the children in their quarters could hear the creak of the old spring bed, and those who were old enough knew what it meant. At times like those, the older children knew they had to keep the younger ones from entering their mother's quarters, and since Karen was the oldest, the major responsibility fell to her. Julie, when she was 2, had followed her curiosity and dived under the curtain as the spring bed creaked. Karen had run behind her to catch her, and Miss Ivy had jumped up and slammed Karen's head against the board wall. And when the police had taken care of Mr. Boucher's thieving grandson, Karen felt that it was done in the interest of all. Karen had wondered often at her mother's folly. How could she have allowed herself to be made pregnant so many times, and by so many of what she called worthless men? A fence of hibiscus plants surrounded the yard, and at the front was an open space where a gate might have been. Karen, now soaking wet, was almost ready to turn through the open space when she observed a van parked a short distance further up the grass and stone road. She knew the van. It belonged to the rich man who lived on the hill. Her 17-year-old brain began to work overtime when she saw it. She became even more puzzled when she went into the house, and her brothers and sisters told her that her mother was sitting in the van with the man. She wondered what it could be about. 2 days later, Karen saw that the big black Land Rover, which belonged to the man's wife, had climbed the slight incline and was parked so that it almost blocked the entrance to the yard. She had to take the bucket of washed clothes off her head and squeeze herself, bucket in hand, between van and fence to get into the yard. The 2 women stopped talking as she passed them. Behind the house, her sisters and brothers hid and peeped at them. Karen joined them. She saw money being counted and passed from one woman to the next. Then the large Land Rover drank fuel, belched, and roared down the little incline. The children scattered as their mother came around to the back of the yard and hollered,
"Karen!"
Karen hollered back,
"Yes, Mama."
"Karen, the Johnsons want to give you a good home to enjoy,"
Miss Ivy said. But the young girl's brain burned, and she asked aggressively,
"Is you giving me away, Mama?"
The younger children heard the commotion and came out, but their mother shouted,
"Go in and look on the baby."
Karen was almost in tears now. She said,
"Mama, I told you the man tried to hold me down when he gave me a ride in his van, and everybody in the district know is him get Miss Sissy 2 daughters pregnant, and now you want me to go scour them dirty floor and wash them dirty clothes."
But Miss Ivy's mind was made up.
"You could cry blood, you going."
The young girl was fully in tears now, and what she said next made her mother very angry.
"Mama, you selling your own child into slavery."
Miss Ivy bent down in the yard. She was looking for stones, and when she found 2, she flung them at Karen, who by now had hurried through the open space in the fence and was running down the road. Karen decided to run away from home. She had a cousin who was living in Kingston. Her cousin reluctantly agreed to accommodate her. Within the first week of her stay, her cousin's husband attempted to seduce her 3 times. When he attempted to enter the bathroom while she was bathing, Karen made it plain to him that her cousin would hear about it. Karen went out for a couple of hours. When she returned, she observed that her bag had been packed and was out on the veranda. Her cousin was out there also. "Karen, imagine I put you up and this is how you repay me? By trying to steal my husband from me? You and your mother are the same thing. Take your bag and leave." The girl from deep rural St. Mary dragged herself and her bag off the veranda and through the gate. She did not know what to do or where to go. She boarded a bus to Halfway Tree, bought a newspaper, sat in a fast food store and read, "Masseuse needed, excellent pay, living quarters provided." She borrowed a phone and dialed the number. When Karen was told that she had to work in the nude, she wanted to say no, but she had nowhere to sleep that night. On her 3rd day at the center, the female proprietor attempted to seduce her while she bathed. Karen turned her down. That night, a man came to the center and chose Karen for his massage. Karen could see that he was balding at the front of his head, unlike the sperm donor, her father, who was balding in the center. The man said he needed a bit more than a massage, but Karen told him she did massages only. The man dipped into his pocket, placed $10,000 on the bed, and said,
"That could be yours if you are smart."
When he saw that Karen was not interested, he dipped again and put $10,000 more on the bed. Karen was still not interested.
I don't care how much you put there, sir. I still don't do anything but massages.
The man dipped again, placing $10,000 more on the bed. Then Karen slowly, shyly, and softly asked,
Do you have a condom, sir?
Her question meant different things to the two people in the room. To Karen, it meant she had crossed a dangerous threshold, one that had brought about the ruin of many young girls in past generations, and doubtless would continue to do so for generations to come. And to the man, it meant he had been right again. He'd always said that everybody had a price, that chastity would subside and integrity flee when the right price was offered. Karen began to indulge in prostitution. It appeared she could not stop. As she slept one night, a pair of hands trying to get into her shorts awoke her. It was the female proprietor again. The next day, Karen left the center. She rented a room near New Kingston. Karen had realized that there was money to be made doing favors for men, and for the next 9 months, she worked the streets. One chilly night in December, Karen stood with 2 of her associates on a New Kingston street waiting for business. Their attention was drawn to a newcomer. From a distance, the woman seemed to be nearing 40. One of the girls said mockingly, "Is what that old fowl thinks she doing?" The girls were moving closer to investigate the competitor when a car came down the road. Its light illuminated a spectacle for Karen's associates. They saw Karen run up the road while the new woman ran in the opposite direction. They then stopped suddenly, turned, and looked at each other. Unsure, they slowly started to walk towards each other. Then they broke into a run again and then crashed into each other's arms. Right there, in the middle of the road, mother and daughter were now locked in embrace. Miss Ivy could have said, "I did not expect this from you, Karen," but she did not say that. Instead, she asked,
You all right, me daughter?
but Karen did not answer. She had a question of her own.
How the children them, Mama?
Them asking for you.
Miss Ivy said.
Them want to know how you could leave them like that?
Now Miss Ivy started to ask the question herself.
How you could leave them like that, Karen?
She stopped speaking when she heard Karen asking.
I can come back home, Mama?
When Karen saw the lightness in her mother's face, she repeated the words, but this time it wasn't a question.
I can come back home, Mama.
By the time Karen and Miss Ivy had emerged from the taxi, almost half of the district was out in the square to meet them. Most had already offered their idea about what had happened to Karen, and when one man finally asked Karen where she had been, Miss Ivy was ready for the question.
She was in foreign,
she said. And then the woman who had been spreading the news in the district that Karen was a prostitute asked, "Where exactly?"
America.
Miss Ivy said.
She was in America.
The people looked to Karen for confirmation, and she nodded. The villagers thought that Karen seemed brown and refined, as if she had really been living in America, and there were 6 to 7 bags by her side to support her claim. They knew that Miss Edith had always hated Karen, but what a vicious lie she had told on the innocent little girl. The people said. That night, Karen couldn't sleep. There were too many bad memories in that house. She remembered when Julie had rushed under the curtain and how Miss Ivy had slammed her head against the wall. She remembered Mr. Bush's grandson's visits and how he had told people he was only using the mother to get to the daughter. Like great torrents, the ugly memories rushed upon her. She silently crept off the bed and one by one took the bags she had brought from Kingston outside. She took her 2-year-old brother and laid him down gently on one of the bags. Next, she took Julie and placed her on one of the bags. The remaining children, she thought, were big enough to run. Now her emotions broke over her. The house of pain, the house of shame must be destroyed. Karen slapped the lamp with her left hand, and when she saw fire start to burn the curtain which separated the room, she shouted,
Fire! Fire!
Mother and daughter dragged the remaining children from the burning house. It was soon over. As if it were not obvious, Miss Ivy said,
The house burned down, Karen.
The lamp turned over, Mama.
Karen said. The younger children began to cry as Miss Ivy murmured,
What we going do now, man?
but Karen was confident.
We will rebuild, Mama.
Guided by the moonlight, she picked up one of the bags she had brought from Kingston.
See, Mama, I saved my money.
You not easy, you know, Karen.
Miss Ivy said with shock and joy written on her face.
Mama,
Karen said.
we don't want any board house this time. And, Mama, you going to have your own room. and the children will have their own room. And me too, Mama. There will be a room for me.
Miss Ivy stood there, surprised and happy, and when the first set of villagers came, they were just in time to see the two locked in embrace, just as they had done in town. People came from Blackston Edge, Whitehall, Lucky Hill, Halifax, and all around. A house had been totally destroyed by fire, they had heard, and a poor woman and her 6 children were homeless. They promised to help in whatever way they could, and so masons, carpenters, plumbers, and church people all rallied to aid the cause. For a house must be built where mother and children did not share the same room. Karen had said so,